Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Elimination Post show. Very early morning for at least myself, and of course, my co-host over the side of me, my good friend Ol'Ed Ed Fries. Morning, Ed. How are you doing?
Oh, it's early. I'd still be in bed if it weren't for the graps this morning. So, but you know what? I had a wonderful breakfast. I tweeted out a picture of it. It was fantastic. I was thoroughly enjoyed myself. I got my glass of orange juice.
There you go. There you go.
That'll
help you.
It may or may not be spiked. Who knows? It's up to you.
Hey, it's a good way to start the morning. It's fantastic.
I'm going to bed as soon as this is over. Just so we're clear.
Yeah, I might have to go get a power nap in myself at some point in time too. I've only had approximately 4 hours of sleep, and then I've got Pro Wrestling tonight, so got to be on my feet because I got to be moving around that ringside tonight.
Yeah. If you can be half as good as the WWE camera crew was tonight, kudos to you. Because I'm telling you, no more Kevin Dunne means a nice smooth camera cuts. Not every jump every 3 seconds. I got to see things happening as they happened. I got to watch Logan Paul writing on the back of the Elimination Chamber container. They got really cool shots of like inside, outside. Give me more like dusk shows, like where the sunset's going down, like even in the States. Like, give me more shows like this where the sun's going down, because that sunset through Opus Stadium is, that stadium itself is just it's a beautiful stadium.
Yeah, and I believe we've said it before too. Whenever the WWE goes international, it's always great because they're going to pick a large stadium, and the fans there are going to pack it. They're going to be noisy. They're going to be a lot of fun to watch. And I think that's one of the bigger highlights of Elimination Chamber, because I know you and I have been talking already this morning. A lot of Elimination Chamber was predictable. It was fun. It was as good as it was ever going to be. But one of the bigger highlights was the connection with the audience, the Australian fans enjoying their first ever premium live event, and of course enjoying Mammy in the main event, which we'll talk about here later on in the program.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it with Backlash last year, and I think that crowd's hard to beat. They also got given a much better show. But let's be honest here. I loved this crowd, but WWE didn't help them by giving them the greatest show in the world.
No.
This was a 3-hour, 30-minute pay-per-view with 4 matches that felt like this dragged quite a bit.
Oh, hell yeah.
There was significant downtime. That being said, I had a good time.
I enjoyed myself too. There was nothing that upset me as a wrestling fan regarding the way this was done. Predictability was good because they're going into WrestleMania and they need to protect what they have going into WrestleMania. And again, some of it was used to build that. We saw that more so in the men's Elimination Chamber, I would say, than the women's Elimination Chamber. So why don't we just start there? The women's Elimination Chamber that opened the matchup, which I'll say the bigger highlight of this, outside of, everybody being excited for Becky versus Rhea come WrestleMania time, has got to be Tiffany Stratton for me in this one, because Tiffany comes in there and they didn't just have her come in there to be the underdog that takes the bumps, gets thrown around, gets a couple of things in, and then good night, Tiffany set off end of the sunset. Tiffany looked strong. They had her come out looking strong. She got her time in. She got a lot of moments within that match, and nothing about this buried any potential for Tiffany Stratton in a top position with WWE moving forward.
This match was built perfectly, with the exception of Naomi kind of getting a little short. Somebody always gets shortchanged on an Elimination Chamber at some point. It's just the nature of the beast with elimination matches. Somebody always gets a little shortchanged. That being said, like you said, Tiffany is a star. We've been crowing about it on Tuesday nights for almost a year now.
Mm-hmm.
This girl is a star. And she's done it in record time. I mean, she's gone from Daddy's Little Princess, with a credit card and this whole gimmick of my dad's rich so I can do what I want, to a legit bona fide star. She plays the it girl, mean girl so fantastically well. At the same time, she doesn't feel out of place with these big stars. They gave her that big dive off the top of the cell, the swanton off the cell. Fantastic spot in that women's match. They gave her, I want to say, one, if not two eliminations in the match, which is fantastic. And I think she's on the Mania card this year. If I'm booking WrestleMania based on this show, Bianca versus Tiffany seems like a lock to me for WrestleMania this year.
And seeing this is where the problem I had with this match in particular comes in, is that we shouldn't be scratching our heads going, is it a lock? And obviously good afternoon, early afternoon to our friend Mark over at Mark Talks Wrestling, Mark Talks Sport, Mark Talks Football, all those wonderful things. We also got Eric Douglas joining us here. Liv winning would have been great, but I'm happy for Becky. I think the writing was on the wall with Becky, despite how good Liv was going into this, everything like that. Liv is obviously over really well with the WWE audience, but clearly they're trying to go big with WrestleMania 40, and Rhea versus Becky in terms of the star power in that matchup was easily the clear picture in this one. I felt that there was a little bit of disconnect, especially in the first couple of matchups, and in this one certainly, where there was times it felt like there was anticipation. People were anticipating certain moves. That finish felt anticipated in this one as well too. So it didn't feel as properly climatic as a strong wrestling match should. So it was good, but it wasn't mind-blowing, and there was no real clear picture to the women's WrestleMania matchups outside of our title picture for both sides.
And that's fine. Like, we still got, people forget, we've got 42 days to build. We have plenty of time to build matches. While they did a really good job in the men's matches, they have 6 weeks of television twice a week to book undercard women's matches. And the fact that we're talking about WWE booking WrestleMania undercard women's matches is a sight to behold.
That's true.
Because in WWE's years past, we'd just be clamoring to make sure they get the women's championships on this show. And now we're sitting here going, all right, WWE, you've got your women's title matches booked. Now let's see what else you're going to do for us. Eric Douglas brings up a good point. Would you all put Liv Morgan at Mania? I don't know. I like Liv. I don't love Liv like a lot of people love Liv.
Mm-hmm.
But she's been out so long, and they don't quite have a position for her. Like, Tiffany Stratton has a signature goal. She is the biggest heel on the SmackDown women's roster who isn't Damage Control.
Yeah,
she has a defined role. We don't know what Liv is. We know Liv is on this revenge tour, but theoretically, the revenge tour ends with getting Rhea Ripley. And after losing tonight, I don't know what you do with that. They booed Liv, and then when she eliminated the actual heel, I think it's time to. I saw Liv as a heel in NXT. We saw Liv as a heel in the Riot Squad. I'd pump the brakes on putting Liv as a heel again. Let's see what she can do and see if she can stay healthy before we start thinking about heel turns.
Well, and the other case with this too, with what Eric said about a Liv heel turn, is that notoriously wrestling fans like to cheer on a heel because, I mean, don't get me wrong, Naomi's been portrayed as a heel, and even though this is her home country and she gets cheered here, which would be expected, she gets cheered everywhere she goes. Let's not kid ourselves. And that's the thing with that type of heel that Liv Morgan would try to play. It would be more of the type of heel that people would like and enjoy and cheer, instead of doing the opposite, which is downright hate the person. They need to downright hate the heel, and I don't know that a Liv heel turn is going to deliver that. And I agree with you, Ed, that there isn't necessarily a lot going on for Liv upon return right now, because they're so wrapped up in these other storytelling that they were prepared to do that it's hard to know, do you put Liv on WrestleMania? Yes, she's a name, and she is clearly over with the WWE audience. So putting her on there would be a good decision in terms of the name power and adding that. But it makes me wonder, if you're going to do something like that, do you bring back the Battle Royals that were at WrestleMania previously, have the women compete in that, and then your opportunity to give those spots to the ones that you don't have built stories for is then on the table?
I think Triple H has made it a fact that he's trying, and putting him on the pre-show today was a good start. By the way, the pre-show match was fun. I watched it. I actually got up a little earlier than I expected. I watched the pre-show match.
It was a little too early for my blood.
It was fun. I think Liv ends up in the women's tag title match. I think her and Raquel end up back as for Mania purposes alone. I think that Liv ends up at there. Mark's right. She's fragile, which isn't necessarily a downside. You can be fragile and still be okay in this business. I mean, we've seen plenty of fragile people do fantastically well. CM Punk. But here's the thing. If you're a heel, you have to do one of two things. Either draw heat or be able to talk on a microphone. As much as I like Liv, I don't think she can do either. I don't think she's capable of drawing heat. And I don't think that she's capable of being good enough on the mic to be a true heel. The reason why Bayley was such a good heel is because she was able to take the love of the fans and then utilize her voice to scream us down, to yell at us, to call us idiots for 2.5, 3, 4, 5 years now.
Yeah.
Since she's been, since she's turned heel and, done this. She's done a very good job of being able to utilize her voice to become the heel. Now, granted, she's getting cheered, and that's fine. I don't think we're not in the days anymore where a heel has to get booed. But you have to be able to cause a reaction with a promo. And Liv's biggest problem is that I don't think she's capable of cutting a great promo. She can cut a good promo, and she's fine. But I think there's still work to be done. I'm hoping that the work will be done. I have faith that she's going to put in said work and do the best she can. But right now, she's swimming in water full of big name, big talent who can do it all.
Yeah.
And the biggest problem that she's got is there's a crop of talent ready to come up that's just as good, if not better than her. And Tiffany Stratton's the tip of that iceberg. Roxanne Perez is still on her way up here. And Roxanne Perez is a better version of Liv Morgan because she's better in the ring and she's slightly better on the microphone.
But I will say this, Liv has done a good job of connecting with a lot of the fan base, which is where you keep her in that baby face position right now, because if there's one thing that WWE lacks is good underdog baby faces. And I say underdog because you got to have that fight from behind, that someone who can, can take a beating and stuff like that. And, Liv can do that at the hands of the much more physical, tougher, a heel, women wrestlers and stuff like that. And then fight from behind, which a good babyface would do. And I think that would be the direction I would foresee for Liv, because again, you look at it, she's got a connection. Clearly there's a lot of fans that adore her. Keep that momentum and keep working on building Liv to something better.
Yeah. But what we can say here is we had 6 women in a match that opened the show. 5 of them, if not all 6 of them, got shine. All of them look better coming out than they did going in.
Yes. Yes, they did.
And that's impressive. They took this Elimination Chamber and made it a way to make these women look better coming out of it. And to me, that's a success. Was the match an all-star match? No, it was good. It was serviceable. It was exactly what it needed to be.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you. It was designed to make sure we know exactly what the WrestleMania title match is. Becky taking the clear win at the end of this matchup is, the statement. We knew right then and there was going to be no shenanigans. We weren't getting Becky versus Nia at WrestleMania. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. We're in Australia. It was pretty obvious what was going to happen through the entire night. So Becky picking up the win, it's an obvious choice, but it's a strong choice, especially for a company that's currently wanting to sell WrestleMania as a big deal. And so it should be. I mean, we're talking about the 40th year of WrestleMania. You want to put the largest matchups that you can on this card possible, the ones that are going to draw attention. And Becky versus Rhea for the belt will draw attention.
And by the way, speaking of WrestleMania, this felt the vibe of the show, not the matches on the show, because Lord knows WWE did not put any effort into that.
Yeah.
But like the arena, the crowd, I had a WrestleMania feel in my soul. I had that WrestleMania adrenaline building in my soul. We're not quite there yet to, something Cody Rhodes, but I'm just saying, like that Opus Stadium feel, like I the first shots when you see them and you start seeing people come down that thing and you see the panning of the crowd, and I instantly got mania. I felt mania. WWE will never put a WrestleMania in Australia, just so we're clear. They're never doing WrestleMania at 2 a.m. East Pacific Standard Time, 5 a.m. Eastern. They're not fucking crazy enough. You might get lucky and they might do a UK one, because at least that's mid-afternoon for the United States.
Yeah.
But for all of you people who think that they were serious about potentially bringing WrestleMania, no. Don't even fucking kid yourself.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. Speaking of not kidding yourselves, tag team title action here.
Yeah.
Between the Judgment Day and the New Catch Republic.
Yes, the New Catch Republic with Pete Dunne in that group. God, I'm glad that's the case now.
Can we just talk about how stupid of a name that is for like a minute or two? We have I call them on Taking Over, I call them the Candy Crew.
Okay.
Because it's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Damon Kemp's the Oompa Loompa, you got Drew Gulak, and then you got Miles Bourne. I call them the Candy Crew. But they're the No Quarter Catch Crew, which is a mouthful, so I shorten it to Candy Crew.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have the New Catch Republic. I get that catch wrestling is a thing, but can we stop trying to make catch happen?
In what sense? Trying to make it happen as a name used in a team?
Yeah,
or
it's stupid.
Because like catch can wrestling is great in terms of like what it actually is. Just the name really
don't name my tag team or my faction Catch anything. I feel like the girl in Mean Girl. Stop trying to make fetch happen. Stop trying to make catch happen. It's stupid.
Right. No, I'm with you there. Again, I not like when the name happened, like New Catch Republic. I know that there's throwbacks to, things that Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne used to have
It's
named
British strong style.
Let's
Let's just call it out. It's called British strong style for a reason. But apparently they can't use that. This is what boggles my mind about the one in NXT too. It's like Drew Gulak in Evolve ran a group called Catchpoint, which is a nice, succinct name. Catchpoint. And I'm like, that sounds like something wrestling based. I like that. It's 2 syllables. It makes a lot of sense. It was used in Evolve, which WWE now owns all the Evolve intellectual property.
Yeah.
It's also, if it wasn't owned by Evolve, it would have been owned by Drew Gulak, who's in the group. So why are we not calling it Catchpoint? Like, why are we not calling this British strong style? Why do I have to put up with this bullshit? Why are they on my television? And why do I have to watch them?
Well,
I'd much rather just watch Judgment Day versus DIY. Let's be honest here.
I mean, you just hit the nail on the head. If you can't call it British strong style, the abbreviation of that, BS, which you just called out, would be a perfect anomaly for this one.
This match was fun.
Yeah.
I
like all 4 guys. Like individually, I like all 4 guys, and
I
as
like
a tag
3
team
4.
match, it was good. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. It just didn't really have anything to lead to WrestleMania. It doesn't give a clear tag team picture to WrestleMania. Are the Judgment Day going to be defending tag belts at WrestleMania? I guess there's still some time to tell, but against who? Does WWE have much of a tag division left right now?
I mean, WWE's never loved tag team wrestling to begin with.
Nope.
Like, Triple H is trying his best to make the best that he can. And by the way, he's doing a good job of making sure we have tag team action that builds to tag team matches, that builds to tag title matches. But the Judgment Day story is about so much more than tag team titles. Can we just build to Miz and R-Truth versus the Judgment Day at Mania, for the love of fucking God? Can we just do that already? Because that feels like what we should do for Mania.
Yeah.
I mean, poor R-Truth. He went to Austria. I don't know if anybody.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people saw this on Twitter. He went to Austria. Oh God, I love R-Truth.
Can you imagine
so much more than I love this match.
As part of your paycheck, as part of your contract, instead of having to go out there and take bumps and getting beat up and everything like that, you get this nice cozy opportunity to go hang out in another country entirely as part of a promotion for something, because your character is this oblivious goof that is gotten over by doing these ridiculous things that the company just go ahead, take a vacation in Austria. All you got to do is make a social media post and we're good. R-Truth has worked himself into the best position in WWE.
Let's just say he learned from the best. John Cena was his favorite wrestler growing up.
It's his boy, his boy.
Never forget, 50-plus-year-old R-Truth, who is older than John Cena, grew up loving watching John Cena wrestle. So being completely oblivious to all things going on in the world seems perfect this weekend when it comes to John Cena and R-Truth, shall we say.
You know me, I'm not always big on comedy and wrestling, but sometimes when something works, I can have a good laugh at it. And right now, R-Truth is making me laugh, and I'm enjoying it, and all of it, every bit of it.
The thing about R-Truth is that the joy of R-Truth is that he's a perfectly competent wrestler who can go out and do the wrestle when they need him to do the wrestle. Like, yes, he's funny. Yes, he incorporates comedy. But I think much like Breezango, he incorporates the comedy to enhance the wrestling that he's doing, as opposed to Salvation Orange Cassidy, who makes a mockery of the wrestling that we're doing.
Yeah.
Because, like, R-Truth and Breezango especially, like, when Tyler Breeze would, like, switch between different outfits, like that match between Breezango and the Usos, I don't know if you've seen this.
I recall.
But He goes through 3 different outfits, including one as an old lady. But like the fact that he can do all that enhances the character and the fun and the creativity, as opposed to pretending that I'm a wrestler with low energy who doesn't want to do the wrestles, makes a mockery of the business.
Yeah. Well, and again, WWE.
And again, we're not talking about this tag match. We're not talking about this tag match for one reason. There's nothing to talk about with this tag match. It started, it ended, fine.
And it was exactly as expected. The highlight of it was probably Dominic Mysterio getting the boos that he got when he picked up the microphone and tried to introduce the Judgment Day himself.
You did not introduce him correctly. Our local establishment's WWE Male Wrestler of the Year for 2023, Dominic Mysterio.
Okay, I apologize for not getting it correct, but glad I've been corrected at this point. But yeah, I mean, that's the reason we're not talking about the match, is because it was a good match that really had no it had no anything to build for anything else. You haven't done enough to build Dunne and Bate as a solid tag team at the moment. They have a history, yes, but you're trying to sell a history to the fans that have watched enough to understand that history, not to the many, many, many fans that probably aren't as familiar with Tyler Bate and are looking at Pete Dunne going, oh, it's Butch with a new name, sadly. But I'm glad they are going that direction with the two of them. I like the idea of them being a tag team, but it needs to build more before it will have the impact that I think WWE would hope it would have. They're both good wrestlers. Let's get them out there doing some spots with guys like you mentioned, DIY. Great. Let's build the tag division with them. We now got the Authors of Pain that are back in the picture. Let's continue to build tag division around teams like that. And good morning, Basser. Yes, it's PPW time, my man. Can't wait to see you later. It's going to be a fun night tonight, despite my lack of sleeping.
Speaking of fun nights, you know who had a fun night? Grayson Waller.
Grayson Waller
had a fun night. And let's talk about this segment, because, yes, this segment went on for an eternity. Eternity, this segment went on. Hello, Barry Monkey.
Yo, Barry.
It's still morning for me. It's even earlier morning for this guy. Nope, this guy.
It's right here.
But Austin Theory doing the heel shtick. Chef's kiss. They had 0 heels other than Austin Theory, so they needed him to be out there. And Bobby, you and I disagreed on this in the very beginning of this segment.
At the start.
Because that's why I said at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I don't like the idea that Austin Theory's being a heel, considering Grayson Waller was about to come out and get cheered. And he did. He came out and instantly got cheered, and then did the most disgusting thing I think you can do while drinking something, which is drink a shoey. But and then I'm not a foot guy. Like, I'm not into anything with feet, and I can't think of any vessel I'd want to drink out of less. Okay, there's a couple things I'd want to drink out of less than a shoe, but it's pretty low on the fucking list of things that I wouldn't want to drink out of. It's pretty low on that list of. But Grayson Waller comes a conquering hero. This entire segment is to get Grayson Waller in front of this crowd, as they should.
Yeah.
And then you give the crowd what they really wanted, which is sing-along time. So you get Seth out there, and you let the crowd sing the Seth song, which is fine because he's not in the middle of a wrestling match, so it's not hurting anything, like it sometimes does in his wrestling matches. And then you give them sing along with Cody Rhodes. And by the way, Cody Rhodes in AEW, Cody Rhodes in WWE, the immense level of just sheer star power that just the WWE presentation allows you has made Cody Rhodes an ungodly star. I mean, the pyro outside the arena, like literally fireworks for Cody Rhodes' entrance in the middle of Perth, Australia, on a river.
Yeah.
Like, these are things that only can happen with the budget and the production value of WWE.
Yeah. And like I said earlier, that, we lack a lot, especially in modern wrestling, true baby face stars. And Cody Rhodes is the perfect example of a true baby face star. He talks well. He reps his company well. The fans adore him. He's out there doing the nice things. He's the modern day version of what John Cena was doing with connecting with the kids and stuff like that. But yet Cody hasn't had the same resentment for being forced down the throats of the fans.
He will.
Oh, he will. Yeah, trust me. It's WWE fans. They're fickle. I get it.
By the summer, we're going to be answering the question, how did WWE screw this up? When the fans have turned on Cody Rhodes. But before we get to Berlin, the Cody Rhodes is going to be getting booed out of buildings.
Well, of course, because then he's going to end up against Walter and or Gunther. Sorry, I made that mistake. But
no, that'll be Drew. Don't worry.
But it'll be good nonetheless. But yeah, I mean, he's a clear top babyface. That's why he's in the position he is. It's why he's won 2 Royal Rumbles in a row. It's why he's going up against Roman at WrestleMania. It's why he's probably going to be doing double duty at WrestleMania along with Seth, Roman, and of course, single duty from The Rock. That tag match is clearly going to be on.
When you're a star the level of The Rock, when you're the people's champion, when you merge your XFL with an even lesser known football organization to create the smallest known American football organization ever known to man, and then you star in the worst movies to ever grace our stage that I watch with a pleasure because they're so awful. You just got to respect a man like that. You got to respect a man like The Rock. Unlike this ungrateful Cody Rhodes, who, like Grayson Waller pointed out, selfishly took away the greatest WrestleMania main event by stealing Roman Reigns versus The Rock from us. To selfishly put himself in that place. Like he earned it by winning the Rumble or something crazy like that. How dare Cody Rhodes do something like that? Yeah. He challenged The Rock to a one-on-one match anywhere, anytime. Seth Rollins announced that he's days away from being medically cleared. So that was the point of this segment. Get Cody Rhodes out there, challenge The Rock. Check. Make sure Grayson Waller gets in front of the Australian audience. Check. Make sure Seth Rollins lets everybody know he's going to be healthy again soon. Check. Also, we also found out, not in this segment, but we did find out via Twitter today that the Bobby Lashley spot that everybody was like, it's really weird that Bobby Lashley got into this Elimination Chamber match as opposed to Jonah, as opposed to Bronson Reed. Yeah. Bronson Reed's wife gave birth slightly earlier than expected. WWE decided to give him time with his wife and time with his newborn and decided to keep him out of this match. So kudos to WWE for making a nice decision for family to allow him to get out of this and still allow him to play up in character for at least a week or two until fans started to turn. And he's like, nope, hold on. Got a full disclosure time. Playing a role. I was mad that I felt him back. Because he put out that tweet, I've disappointed my family, my country, and I've disappointed myself by not being able to be on this show. And then and people were like, I thought it was weird too. I was like, that's really weird that you're putting every Australian star that you still have on this show. But yet you made Jonah lose for Bobby Lashley. Like, it'd be one thing if he lost for Drew or for Randy, but he lost for Bobby, who really didn't matter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you say every Australian star, while not full star, I almost think that Indy Hartwell should have found way onto the main roster for this card in particular.
I mean, she was on the pre-show.
I get it. No, and I respect that. I just,
and honestly,
I'm just saying with how much filler that there was on this show, that pre-show match could have been on the main card. Yo, Papa Smokes.
This is the thing. They could have had that match on the main card if the only thing they would have done is cut out all the promotional stuff for Australia.
Yeah.
Like, they had a good half an hour's worth of, like, promotion for Australia. But for once, it was nice because, one, we're seeing something beautiful, and two, it's not, hiding the fact of a regime that's killing people and, doing terrible things and concerning human rights. Like, because we normally only get this for Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Where it's like, look at how beautiful that country is. Come visit all these wonderful places. That's normally only reserved for the Saudi shows. So it was nice to see it on this show where it's like, look, Australia, it's beautiful too. And guess what? We don't kill people here for the fun of it.
This no truer statement has ever been said. Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, it is beautiful and all, but when you got a 4-match card, it does drag. And again, those chamber matches eat up a lot of time. Clearly they do. And, then it felt like the rest was just, well, other than the main event, but the tag match was just kind of the one we got was just slipped in there. And so, I mean, if you're just going to slip matches in, trim some of the fat, put that other match on the card, because again, I think that, not all of us had the courage to get up that damn early for the pre-show matchup.
Yeah. Trust me, it was by accident. I'll be honest. It was entirely by accident. One other thing I wanted to talk about here, and Tom Collahue, I was watching his watch along this morning because Lord knows I needed something else to do to make sure I stayed awake. I needed as much noise as possible. So I mentioned to you, Austin Theory steals the microphone from Grayson Waller towards the end and starts doing his shtick. And then he gets beat up by Cody and Seth. And Waller just sits back and lets it happen. Because they look at him like, all right, you're going to get involved. And Waller's like, no, I'm fine with it. He stole my thunder. He gets what he gets.
I like how Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I like how he was protecting one of the stage plants there instead of helping his tag partner out.
Do you think that they're going to go ahead and do, because I think it'd be fun and I think it'd be great, Austin Theory versus Grayson Waller at Mania? Because I'd do that if I were them.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, if you've got the room to add it to the card and you're not going to drag both nights of WrestleMania into being 6-hour shows each, then go for it. Because, I mean, let's rewind to when you and I were young, Ed, and we were watching WrestleManias. There were a lot more matches on those cards than what there are modernly, but a lot of the matches were 5 to 7 minute matchups. Everyone expects these 20, 30, 40-minute bangers all the time and stuff like that. And those were reserved for rare occasions once upon a time. You can have those, but you also can have a lot more people on the card if you don't have entrances that take 25 minutes per competitor, if you don't have all the jazzy flash that WWE like to enter into it. There's room for these people on these cards. And easily you could fit some solid matchups, and I think that one could be on there. But realistically, they're going to take a look at it and go pre-show matchup at best, I think, is what they'll end up doing to it by the time we get to Mania.
I just want to go ahead and point out, you talk about length of time for some of these matches. The pre-show match itself got 8 minutes, 55 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, that was borderline main event in the early days of WrestleMania.
It sure was.
The women's elimination chamber got 32 minutes, 15 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
The men's elimination chamber got 36 minutes, 55 seconds. The women's world title match that main evented got 14:35, and the tag match got 17:25. Like, these are significant match times. Mm-hmm. Like, 4 matches that the first elimination in the women's match came 13 and a half minutes into the match. The first elimination in the men's match came 21 and a half minutes in. Like, these things are like, this card was super dragged out. To not drag it out anymore, what do you think overall of the segment between Cody, Seth, and the Grayson Waller crew?
Like I said to you in the Discord chat and everything, that I normally really am not a fan of these segments going on to premium live events because they feel like they belong on a SmackDown or a Raw. But it did what it needed to do by the end with Grayson Waller taking the heat and all this kind of, or sorry, not Grayson Waller, with Theory taking the heat and getting beat up, and Waller sitting back and kind of just yeah, whatever, he got what he deserved and protecting his stage versus actually trying to get in a fight here and protect his partner. It worked great. It got Waller over in front of his crowd. Good old Marky Wahlberg or whatever he used to call himself back in the day, got to be there and soak it all in. Good for him. This was as good as a segment on a premium live event was ever going to get. I enjoyed it enough. Not going to complain.
Too many long matches, too many long title reigns. These days, everything has to be special. Overblown. Yeah, I mean, capitalize the irony. We then went ahead and got the men's chamber match. And this was fun. I enjoyed this. I thought this was great. Kevin Owens, star of the show. Let's just be honest here. By the way, he also came in with a koala. Could you talk about how great it is that Kevin Owens walked into this arena holding a koala?
Yep,
I was really hoping he'd bring it out for his entrance. Unfortunately, he didn't.
It was good. And he did great in this.
He did fantastic. Headbutting the cage like a puppy trying to get adopted did you guys have in Canada, like in the old days where you were like with malls? Did you have like the pet stores that were in the mall?
Yeah.
You had those with like 4 puppies in a cage and they just keep running and banging their head against the thing as people try to pet them through the cage.
They've still got some kicking around here and stuff too. Yeah. So it's
that's the vibe that's the vibe that Kevin Owens thing gave me. And by the way, I can't take credit for that. I saw it on Twitter. It was fantastic. Logan Paul made this great little stick figure thing of Kevin Owens, but it was like this big round O because Kevin's a big guy like me. I got a good chuckle out of that. At one point, he signed his name in front of Randy Orton when Randy Orton was standing in front of him. He like Logan Paul was great in this. Poor Randy. I don't know what the fuck he did to his back, but he wasn't selling. I think he legitimately screwed up his back again on that DDT of the outside.
I wondered that too, and I know that it's been widely talked about, but did Randy maybe oversell it a bit? Because again, when it came down to that opportune time for him to really, really milk it and make it seem like he was completely out of this thing and that Drew was going to put this whole thing to rest, and then it just turns out to be playing possum and to connect with an RKO. I often wonder, Randy Orton being as much a veteran as he is, did he know that one would play on the minds of fans, being that it wasn't that long ago that he came back from a crippling back injury that we thought might have ended his career. So the best thing for him as a wrestler would be to sell that back and make it seem like, oh my God, Randy Orton has no chance. They're going to, in fact, if he was seriously injured, I think that they might have even considered pulling the trigger on him going out early, having Paul knock him out earlier in the matchup with the Nucks and getting him out of there to get treatment. It wasn't enough that they felt the need to double check and get him out of there anyway.
Yeah. I mean, either way, it worked. It told a great story for the rest of this match. But, I mean, I think as great as a lot of this was, and AJ Styles running into the cell to beat LA Knight down with a chair, phenomenal. Awesome. Phenomenal. Can't say anything better. Can't say anything more about it than that. That was great. For me, the moment of this match has to be the Randy hits the RKO to finish the match on Drew. And then Logan Paul, who's still hanging around the cage with the brass knucks on his hand, just cold cocks Randy Orton. A match I never knew I needed to see is Randy Orton versus Logan Paul.
Oh, yeah.
Logan Paul is the luckiest son of a bitch on the face of God's green earth. Because he's been in this business, 2 years at this point?
Yeah.
He's potentially going to be able to have a resume to say that he's worked with Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, Roman Reigns in a world title match main event in Saudi Arabia, and potentially say that he worked in a U.S. title match against Randy Orton at WrestleMania. Not to mention everything else he's done. But think about the fact that he can say those 3 things in a 2, maybe 3-year career. And by the way, not get carried Like, he's legitimately being a fantastic pro wrestler. And he did it again tonight. Like, he was fantastic in this match. The selling of the spear from Bobby Lashley, the in-ring work with Kevin Owens, the being in the right spot at the right time for every single guy that he needed to be in the ring with on this match. Logan Paul is one of the best wrestlers to come around who doesn't wrestle for a living.
Yeah. But at this point in time, too, Logan Paul has exceeded expectations in a sense that now Logan Paul is a wrestler, not just a celebrity wrestling. He's a wrestler. And he looked like one. He didn't look out of place here at all amongst stars. You know, they still were playing on that idea of him versus Kevin Owens, but then that swerve of him taking out Randy, which leads us to believe him and Randy one-on-one, like, just fantastic. You know, and this is what I meant about there was more of a clear picture with WrestleMania repercussions in this entire matchup. Outside of the obvious that it seemed like Drew was going to take this thing from the get-go, and he did. The rest of it was built beautifully. Orton, Logan Paul, they still playing on Paul, Kevin Owens. They have AJ Styles attack LA Knight, which again, perfect because now LA Knight gets taken out of this thing without being taken out of this thing.
Yeah.
Which, you know, when they were stressing the fact that he has not been on that same level of momentum since his match with Roman Reigns, this was the perfect storytelling you could do for LA Knight to take him out of this thing, make him look good, bring him to WrestleMania, and a victory over AJ Styles at WrestleMania for the side of LA Knight will bring that momentum right back into his corner.
Yeah. And Barry's right. They do still protect Logan. There's a difference between protecting Logan and carrying Logan.
Yeah.
I'm fine with protecting Logan because, as sad as it is to say, with what seemingly a trash human being Logan Paul can be at times, and what a trash product he has in Prime, one of the few things that you can't say is that Logan Paul hasn't worked for it. He does all the work. And like you said, he doesn't feel out of place in these matches. And it's not because, like, we've seen celebrities get carried. Let's be honest. Me and you have watched way more wrestling than most. We've been watching for, I'd say what? We've been watching wrestling combined for about as old as Papa Smokes is. Like, let's be honest here. I'm 40. I'm a year or two behind you, I think.
I'm 41 as of January, and I started watching about 1989.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I started watching in the early 90s, 90, 91. So it's like, we've got a good 60 years of professional wrestling watching between the two of us. Like, we've got significant time watching people come into this business and be carried through a match. That's not the case with Logan Paul anymore. It may have been at one point, but the protection of him is so great because they're protecting a money investment in Logan Paul. I don't see Barry's comment because I have the thing. Oh, no, it's not.
Oh, no, it's not Barry's comment this time.
I'll take it. And we've seen Dom get carried. Sorry, not sorry. Look, Dom's been carried. He has the most pensionable face in all of wrestling. And honestly, I'd let mommy carry me too if I could. Like, Dommy mommy, I'm in. Like, you don't have to tell me twice. Like, I'm in for that.
Oh, now you've upset Barry, though. I mean, come on.
So, all right. So the reason why I assumed it was Barry is because when you hover over a comment and you leave the thing on it, it like grays out whatever the next comment is.
Yeah.
And I just saw something pop up and I just assumed it was Barry Monkey saying something because that's typically what happens on these shows.
I was going to say, usually Barry's right on top of that with you. So,
and then we move on to the main event. We move on to Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax. And my God, Rhea Ripley just, like, Australia or not, Rhea Ripley is a goddamn bona fide star.
Yep. Yeah. In fact, we were talking about this prior to this, her even coming out. Like, not only is she one of the hands down best and biggest stars in the entire world of professional wrestling, but I said that if you thought Waller's pop was going to be big, the Rhea's would measure on the Richter scale. And it did. I mean, it was earth-shattering how loud that pop for Rhea Ripley was, and well-deserved, too. Such a young star in the business, and that star continues to rise. This match didn't take away from that either, and that's the nicest part about this is all credit to Nia Jax for this particular matchup. While it wasn't a classic, it wasn't the best match you're ever going to see. This was the best Nia Jax match probably to date. It was solid. There was the one moment in particular I was mentioning about transitioning to that stomp that goes from the top rope. And so many times you see wrestlers get into position. The other wrestler has to put them in position. Then they're holding themselves on the middle rope for an obscene amount of time to make it happen. But the transition that they did here, where Nia immediately fell into that spot, she didn't have to be carried into it. She didn't have to be placed in it. She landed into that spot beautifully. So it was connect, and right away that move was made to look good, because a lot of the times I could do without that move, but tonight it looked excellent.
Yeah, Rhea and Nia had fantastic chemistry, simple storytelling. Babyface Rhea Ripley, which you don't get to tell very often. Babyface Rhea Ripley, heel Nia Jax being, and again, rare storytelling opportunity, bigger and stronger than Rhea Ripley. It's not often that you get somebody bigger and stronger than Rhea Ripley.
Nope.
And here's the thing. We talk about Rhea Ripley and what a star she is. You want to know the difference between Raquel Rodriguez and Rhea Ripley? Is that when WWE talks about how Rhea Ripley is one of the strongest, one of the most powerful women, she doesn't then go into a match and kind of backtrack that statement almost immediately. Like, she consistently lives up to that. And unfortunately, WWE wants Raquel to mimic the kind of things that Rhea can do. And she just doesn't quite have that power. And it makes them look bad, because even a night like tonight, she tried a couple power spots with Bianca especially, and she just couldn't live up to it. And when you have people like Bianca and you have people like Rhea, like people like Raquel get like flashed out real quickly that they aren't what they're being advertised as. Whereas Nia Jax came in, and I said it to you, she's had a shockingly improved run. Yeah. All of her in-ring stuff feels more crisp, feels better. She's working with better talent. Let's not mince words here. Her talent level is not Kairi Sane, Asuka, and the small people that she was working with before. She's working with Rhea Ripley. She's working with Becky Lynch. She's working with big name stars who know what they're doing and know how to be able to get through a match. But Nia's put this on her back, and she was fantastic tonight. Yeah. Jaw-jacking at the crowd, just being a nuisance. She was fantastic. Yeah, she's been putting in the work, and good for her. This might be the best we've ever gotten out of her. It might be the best we ever get out of her. Okay. And you know what? She earned this main event. I'm glad she got it, because shall we forget, people quickly overlook it, and so did WWE very easily overlook it here. She grew up in Australia. Mm-hmm. She may not have been born there like Rhea, not born in in Adelaide, but she spent a majority of her life living in Australia. Yeah. So it was nice to see her get back there. It was nice to see her get some real legitimate heel heat as opposed to go away heat that she's gotten in the past. Mm-hmm. And she delivered a banger of a main event. 14 minutes, and it didn't feel like 14 minutes. It was a well-told, well-crafted story from beginning to end, and she took the finish like a champ with the suplex from the top into the riptide. Just fantastic. The only thing I want to talk about, and I'm a big guy, I get to talk about this. Her worst decision in this match was trying to use a moving chair to jump off of. And I'm just glad that she got off the chair without hurting herself or Rhea. Yeah. But airtime was not one of the things she got in that sequence. That woman got about this much higher than where she was, but thankfully she only had to go this far, so it was okay. But that was a really bad idea, Nia. That was a really bad idea that worked out for you. But please don't ever do that again.
I almost get the impression like the collapse was supposed to happen with the Samoan drop, and it didn't, and it was teetering, which is why they couldn't do a spot where Nia climbed on the table. So it almost felt like Nia improvised. And what was there outside of grabbing Michael Cole and standing on his back or something like that was a moving chair. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, I would have loved to watch Nia Jax make Michael Cole go down all fours and stand on his back to jump off of. But that's for another story. My
thing was, like, the barricade was right there. You could have just done the barricade. The jump's not that much further, and it's a hell of a lot more secure jumping off that barricade. Hell, Corey Graves could just hold the fucking chair. Like, Graves is standing 2 feet away. He could have just held the chair.
See, I don't like when people hold a chair unless the wrestler forces them. And with Graves, it would be tough because he's a former wrestler himself. Now, had she, again, like going back to Michael Cole, had she grabbed Cole and said, hold this damn thing for me or something like that and shoved his face into the back of the chair or something, that could have been a little bit more believable and a little bit more on the safe side kind of thing, because then you're taking the weaker announcer and forcing him to do your dirty work for you.
I mean, I'm all in favor of it as long as they're not holding, like, I get not holding an object for somebody to jump off of, I get makes sense. But I think it's better when it's an announcer doing it for safety as opposed to a referee doing it because you can't buy good enough ladders.
I get where you come from for sure, but I get it when
Bobby
Stats, how you doing? I'm just thinking, like, in terms of, like, between, if you're going to have one of the two announcers do it, it's better to sell it, especially from a heel perspective, to have them grab the weaker of the two, with Corey being a former wrestler. I don't get me wrong, Nia could probably knock Corey's ass out anyway, but especially at this point in time. And she grabbed Cole, being that he's right there, dragged him over there and hold this shit for me or something, then would have been perfect, but they're just little things. They're little nitpicks.
The tiniest quibbles, because we have to find something to complain about.
Well, I mean, it's, we got people are finally waking up and joining us here this morning, so I figured we'd drag it out just that little bit longer. Bobby drinking water to keep him up during Elimination Chamber. So I was drinking
a few things. Water was not one of them, I'll be honest.
Oh, see,
it was clear, but it wasn't water.
Maybe Bobby's doing some intermittent fasting, so he's drinking the water because his body's at the ketosis moment when it's starting to burn up the fat, turn into sugars, get them all strong. That's what you're doing. I know you, Bobby Stats. I know that's what you're up to.
Let's look forward. WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
WrestleMania week. Our local establishment's starting to put together a calendar. It's looking good.
Oh yeah, real good.
We've got coverage of Stand and Deliver. We're going to have a Friday show where we're going to have a preview show on Friday. Right and early Saturday morning, 11 a.m. starts Stand and Deliver. So by 2 o'clock, me and Astrid are going live with Taking Over, talking Stand and Deliver. We're going to take a short break. We've got WrestleMania. We're thinking about doing a pre-show for day one. I think POV will be the perfect pre-show for day two.
Yeah, 100%.
We've got post shows both night one and night two. I think we're gonna have Astrid, the Naturals, already heading up night one's pre-show.
Yep.
You and I will probably be on both shows because we're crazy.
We're a little mad.
No, that's not the NXT calendar. The NXT calendars, we're on the road to Roadblock. We got a couple weeks to get to Roadblock, and then we got Stand and Deliver.
Yeah.
But our local establishment calendar for WrestleMania week is starting to fill in. We might even have a final battle.
Yeah.
Not final battle.
Super Card of Honor.
Yeah. Super Card of Honor. We're looking at a potential Super Card of Honor show. Like, our local establishment is going to be the home. So if you're not already subscribed, subscribe to us on YouTube. Like this video so other people can see it. Go ahead and get ready because we've got big things coming WrestleMania week. We are going to be a non-stop WrestleMania station come WrestleMania weekend.
Well, and who knows? who might pop on some of these shows. We could have guests. We could have all sorts of shenanigans going on all weekend long. But again, yeah, point of view as far as that weekend goes, let's do post show or preview show for night 2. We can do it that day. You can join me. Maybe Mark from Mark Talks Wrestling will be on there. Anybody from OLE that wants to hop in, any guests that want to partake, as always, feel free to reach out. That ticker's down below. You can do so, but there's my ticker down below. That's where you can find me on all my social media, as well as my personal Twitch, _Bobby Munson. Later this afternoon, you're going to be able to join myself and Papa Smokes over on the YouTube channel for Prairie Pro Wrestling as we release another match there for you. And then tonight, live from Saskatoon, it's PPW Presents Love is Dead. So if you're in the area, make sure you get your tickets. We're almost sold out based on pre-sales alone. So line up early, make sure you get your spot, because once we hit that capacity, the rest of you got to go home and wait for the YouTube releases. Then tomorrow, I'm going to be on Point of View again. Hopefully, maybe Ed, if you're around, as always, feel free to hop in. I know Mark said he might have an opportunity to jump in tomorrow as well, too. So we'll see if that happens. And
I had one early day. I might have to sleep in tomorrow. I'll be honest with you.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. If I had the opportunity, I might take it up. But again, next Thursday, going to be able to join myself, Papa Smokes, and Andre C. at an early start time for our Ring Respect Radio watch along of MLW's Intimidation game. So make sure you tune into that. Now, Ed,
and what's the main event Intimidation game? Are they main eventing with Kojima versus Murder Grandpa himself?
Yeah, and then there's the big match between Alex Kane and Bobby Fish that they've pretty much painted a clear picture of exactly how it's going to go now. Because
is there ever really a big match with Bobby Fish?
Yeah, well, I mean, it'll probably be the only one he shows up for before going and signing for somebody else like he did last time to MLW. But, the problem with this matchup is not the matchup itself. Bobby Fish and Alex Kane on paper probably will be a good matchup, except for they had to go give away the idea that AJ Francis is now calling out Alex Kane, and he's going to be at Intimidation Games with no opponent, but he's listed as being there. So I wonder if Flop Dollar himself is going to show up to interfere in Alex Kane's match.
Hopefully he doesn't, because Joe Hendry's been lighting him up on the old TNA. But you can find me on Twitter at EdFries12584. You can find me on the Twitch at twitch.tv/EdFries2002. That's going to be where all my gaming content, as I simulcast all my content here. We are getting ever so close. It is March 5th, is rapidly approaching for the digital release of WWE 2K24. I'll be diving into some GM mode. We got 40 years of Wrestlemania. We've got some universe mode that I'm going to start to dabble my feet into. So join me as I try to figure out how to do the whole universe thing. We got all kinds of good stuff coming along with that kind of stuff. But yeah, again, GM mode is going to be the big thing. I'm going to be doing my own GM mode, hopefully doing some GM mode with a friend on some streams. So hopefully we can get some of that stuff. Definitely going to be diving into the My Rise. We got 2 My Rise stories. I'm going to put up a poll at one point to see whether the fans want me to do the men's or the women's story first. It's going to be a whole bunch of fun, but you can catch me doing all of that. Also, taking over every Tuesday night, taking over. We're going to be going ahead and talking all things NXT as we are now on the road to Roadblock. It's the last stop before we head into Stand and Deliver. So we're very excited for that. We got Talking Takeover, where we go back in the way back machine and we go ahead and talk about all the fun takeovers that happened before. We are going to be on the next episode of Talking Takeover when Ashton is back from her wonderful trip to LA. We're going to be going ahead and talking all things Fatal 4-Way, Takeover Fatal 4-Way. And of course, Marvel Talk will be back this Wednesday. You can go ahead and catch me and Andre C as we go ahead and do our MCU rebound as we await the release of X-Men 97. We're going to go back in the Wayback Machine for that as well. And we're going to go back all the way to Thor, the original Thor movie, Kenneth Branagh directed, the debut of Chris Hemsworth in the MCU, the debut of Tom Hiddleston in the MCU. We're very excited for that one. I think people are going to be rather surprised with, at least my opinion, of Thor, the original. What did you think of Thor, Bobby? What do you think?
I like Thor. I think when I went into it initially, I didn't have much expectation. And I don't know why. I went into it with little to no expectation and ended up enjoying it Not as much as I ended up enjoying Ragnarok, which is hands down the best and probably the only really solid Thor movie out of all the Thor movies, in my personal opinion. I like that one a hell of a lot, but this one is good and still better than 2 and far better than the most recent one, Love and Thunder, which I think was a complete disaster. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, there's some interesting takes to have on Thor, the original. We'll go ahead and talk about that. But with that being said, I mean, it's been an hour and 5 minutes. It's 9:45. I want to get some sleep. I'm sure you want to catch some Z's.
An hour or two.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We really appreciate y'all getting up for us. We appreciate you going ahead and being here with us on this early edition of our local establishment Elimination Chamber post show. Make sure that if you're just catching the end of it and you want to go back all the way to the beginning, it'll be on the YouTube under the live play tab. Just go ahead and go under there. It'll be fantastic. Please make sure that you give us a like and a subscribe on YouTube, as we're trying to build our YouTube base, because YouTube is going to be the focus coming soon to this platform. Yes, night, morning, whatever. Yes. Enjoy it all, everybody. And we'll see you tomorrow for Point of View. Bye.
Bye, everyone.